Hey, everybody. Welcome to the weekly West Coast Missions Roundtable. Did I just change the name of that? Maybe I did, but let's find out. Hey, welcome everybody to this week's weekly Missions Roundtable. We've got a special guest, but before we get into our special guest, let's talk about the usual special guest, Anthony English. Say hey, Anthony.
What's going on, everybody?
And back by popular demand is Ali Hazrati. Ali, what's going on?
Yay, hi, I'm back. Missed y'all.
Right on. And so that's us. Who's this extra guy? He's not cool enough to be West Coast, but he is kind of cool. Let's introduce him. Greg. Greg is our counterpart on the Northeast. So not nearly as cool as West Coast, but Greg, introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm a little nervous. I'll just let you know. You guys being so close to Hollywood and all, and I've never been part of a Hollywood production like this.
Oh my gosh.
That's all right.
Neither have we.
No? Okay. Doing my best. Anyway, yeah, I'm Greg Hills. I am the Northeast Hub Director for MTW. I was a missionary in the Middle East for 5 years, and then I was a pastor for 18 years, and then stepped into this role about a year and a half ago. My territory is the Potomac, I say, to Caribou, Maine. Look that up on the map. It's about as far north as you can go. So yeah, and it's a pleasure to be here with you guys today.
But to all of us, it's those states over there is what we call it. Yeah.
And somebody said to me, Mike, New Jersey sounds like a foreign country. And I said, it is to us too. So yeah. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, awesome, Greg. Thanks for joining us. And what we hope to do is, before I kick over to Ali, what we hope to do in this time is we want to learn about not only you and how the Lord's working in your life, but we want to learn about your ministry towards missions and future missionaries and churches in the Northeast part of the state and what that really means. But Ali, go ahead and take over.
Thanks. Well, it's fun to see my prayer group buddy not at 6 a.m. my time on a Friday morning, so that's good. But thanks for coming, Greg, and we'd love to hear a little bit about your salvation story, how you came to know Jesus.
Sure. I'd love to share that. So I grew up in a Catholic family, and it was a great family, really wonderful family. God was honored in my family, but in the Catholic Church, sometimes the gospel gets a little muddled. You hear a lot about God, but you don't know exactly what to do about that. So go to church on Sunday, but Monday to Saturday didn't look anything different than anybody else in the world. So, but I was in college at the time, and my older brother, Jeff, his life started to change. He started going to the local Protestant church in town, which happened to be evangelical. And I started noticing differences in his life. Like, he plays piano really well. And then he started playing all of this religious music, hymns, and I just got curious. I didn't know what was going on in his life. Well, one night, it was summertime, and we were walking on the sidewalk, and he asked me the classic diagnostic question: Greg, if you were to die tonight, and God were to ask you, why should I let you into heaven? What would you say to him? And I had a really profound answer, well thought out. I said, never killed anyone. That was my standard, and I hadn't really, not physically anyway.
Okay, hey, Greg, I'm sorry. For a second, you said I hadn't really. I was like, wait a minute, back up.
No, I hadn't. No, not physically. But anyway, but that was my standard. And then he said, well, that's not good enough. You can't go. Nobody's good enough. And he started sharing the gospel with me. And I was a little upset. I remember my dad visiting me the next semester while I was in college. And I was like, man, Jeff has gone off the deep end. Like, this whole Jesus stuff is really getting weird. But the Lord was working in my heart that whole year. Came back the next summer. My brother and I are hanging out together again, and he's sharing the gospel again. And then one day, I just got this real dread, this sense of my sin. And that night, I will tell you, this is not an accident. July 12th, check your calendars, 1984. This day in 1984. At 10 o'clock at night. It was a very dramatic experience for me. The Holy Spirit came into my heart, and I was just lifted, this huge burden. I could physically feel it, like this huge burden. And I woke up the next morning and I said to Jeff, can somebody change overnight? And of course, he was just dancing with joy. So, and the rest is history, just trying to follow Jesus and trying to honor him day by day, not always successfully, but by God's grace, making it through.
Love it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
And happy spiritual birthday, buddy.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
So, Greg, tell us, that's awesome. And we're happy that you can get such a gift to spend that time with us on your anniversary. But can you talk to us about this hub thing a little bit? People who see our videos and you know, talk to us regularly have a sense of it, but they have a sense of us talking about the West Coast hub, right? Tell us about the hub thing in general, and then get more specific and talk to us about your role with MTW as it relates to the hubs.
Sure. Yeah, so hubs are a great way, and you know, Lloyd Kim has really focused our vision at MTW and decentralizing some of what's going on with MTW, realizing that not everyone's going to come to us. We need to get to the churches. We need to be able to have access and allow people to have access to MTW. And so, you know, the 5 hubs around the country are with that in mind. And I think it's a really strategic move. It's a way to be able to connect with churches and individuals in ways I don't think MTW was able to in the past. And so yeah, about a year and a half ago is when I came on board. And we all do similar things, of course, but everything is contextualized. So one of the things I found as I got into this role is a lot of, say, like missions committees needing a reboot, a little frustrated, not sure what the next step is. And so one of our ethos statements is to create a culture of missions in the PCA. That's one of our goals. And if we can create a culture of missions, then the Lord will use the churches to raise up folks within the churches. And so that's one of the goals that we have. That's one of the things that we really work hard at. I often find that typically missions committees see themselves as resource allocators rather than vision casters.
Yeah.
And I've experienced that myself, right? Having been on missions committees, and to be able to change that paradigm, have that paradigm shift to say, no, we need to be casting the vision for missions in the church, not just allocating the money. And so to kind of begin to create that culture where churches, you know, Acts chapter 13, the Apostle Paul wrote 14 letters in the New Testament, was still submitted to the church. The church is the one that sent him, he and Barnabas, out. And so for the church to see themselves as senders, identifying people who are interested in missions, helping them discern their call, helping with discipleship, and then launching and sending. And I'm a big believer that churches need to have a seat at the table too, when it comes to decisions on the mission field. And so that's one of the things that I emphasize here in the Northeast through different conferences, get to talk to different missions leaders, and to be able to try to reset the paradigm for what does it mean to be a sending church, and what does it mean to have a culture of missions in our church that's not just pasted over everything else, but that's really at the heart of the gospel and what we do in the body of Christ. So that's a lot of what I do. Of course, also, like y'all, I'm a mobilizer as well. Do you notice the y'all? I went to North Carolina State, so I don't have a Southern accent, but I think y'all is a great
Very
term.
cross-cultural.
It's amazing.
Mike.
Amazing. So in any case, yeah, so we mobilize too, right? We help individuals, right, get to the mission field, which is what we love to do. I mean, just sitting down, I mean, it's a dream job. It's a dream job to be able to sit down with people and talk about what God is doing and how they might serve overseas. So I consider it a tremendous privilege. And yeah, it's so I love what I do. Is that helpful?
Yeah. Greg and I get to hang out together virtually and in person a lot, and all the hub directors and the hub staff, we all kind of poke fun at each other, just regional jokes and that kind of stuff. But I think it takes a missions organization where and I know this can be a difficult word in the PCA, but contextualizing the concept of the gospel in a Latin culture, in an Arabic culture, in a French culture, and but then to break it down even more, and just touch on this a little bit, Greg, the concept of why a missions organization would say, hey, it takes a Northeastern guy to speak to Northeasterners. It takes a West Coast guy to speak to West Coast folks. It takes Southeasterners to understand the values of Southeasterners. And I mean, are our churches really that different?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And so the Northeast, and I lived in New England for many years, almost 30 years. And New England is its own culture. So even regionally, as you well know, there's different cultures within the region. And so, particularly in the Northeast, Northeasterners are a little bit can be gruff a little bit, maybe a little harder on the outside, a little less trusting perhaps. And so building that relationship over time is important. We think of reaching New Englanders for Christ very much like Muslims. It can take a decade or two, right? So there's that kind of building trust. And but also the Northeast tends to be driven. We're kind of type A up here. And so strategy, we love planning, we love vision, and people follow vision. That's been our experience here in the Northeast. And Mikey, you and I have even talked a little bit about kind of the rhythms of the different parts of the country. In the Northeast, July and August shut down. We don't do Presbyterian meetings in July and August. So you have to adjust but come September, it's pedal to the metal till May. Yep. And then it lets off. And it's the rhythm of the Northeast. And so knowing that is helpful. Otherwise you can knock your head against the wall a fair bit, wondering why people aren't responding the way you think they should respond. So, yeah.
Awesome. No, that's great. That's great, Greg. So can you share with us like a story, something that the Holy Spirit has been doing through the Northeast Hub, something that's maybe encouraged you, or, God has shown up in a way that where, like, this is the Lord, this is, he's using me and this hub for his glory and to help see more missionaries raised up from this region.
Yeah, thanks for that. So yes, this job, you have certain things that you expect, and then the unexpected happens, right? And that's, the hand of the Lord, right? But one of the things that I have found really fascinating that has been cropping up more and more is that, like, we're sent to the nations, but the nations come to us, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes people come from other nations specifically to get theological training and then go home. Mm-hmm. Others come just to go to college, get jobs, and then the Lord works on their heart. And then they end up getting a call to missions. And we get the privilege of sending folks, being the sending kind of agency for folks going back to their home country, which is really interesting. So there's a couple, he came from Southeast Asia, she's from Singapore. They met in the US, both brilliant engineers. And then he decided he was getting called to ministry, going to seminary, getting ordained, and then they're going back to his home country. But we're going to be the launching place here in the Northeast. Yeah. So just really exciting that God is raising up the nations to the nations. And so this whole classic model of mission still exists, where folks who have born here, grown up here, go on the mission field, but it's much more mixed than I anticipated. And that's really fun. The second thing I'll just mention real briefly is just one of the joys of my job that I would totally unanticipated is when we have churches. I'll have a church come to me. I had one recently that said, Greg, we're just launching our missions program. We've been saving money. We have $70,000 we want to give to somebody. Who's on your list? And this is like Christmas time, right? Yeah. I get to talk to them about who's going and who's launching and what, and then they just start choosing who they're going to support. And so to be a conduit of that is just joy beyond expression. I mean, it's just awesome to think about. I was totally anticipated. I didn't know that would be part of the job, but it's happened probably 4 times in the past year and a half with churches, and they want to, churches who want to give substantial amounts of money. So those are just a couple of things that have been joyful, and you just know that God is at work in people's lives and in the lives of his people, his churches. So, yeah.
I love that. Hey, hold on. Before we close out, I want to ask you, Greg, a very important question. Who's your favorite West Coast Hub staff employee?
Oh yeah. I mean, that is just I mean, that's hands down. I mean, you even know, I don't even have to say, you know what I mean? I mean, you know.
No, but you know, though,
No, wait, something's happening here.
He learned that from you, so you must be his favorite.
Good.
Oh, that wasn't a fake mute, just so you know.
Saved by technology. Good. All right. So, Greg, hey, thanks for your time, pal. It's really good to see you outside of our regular routine, but it's also really good to hear about what the Lord's doing in the Northeast, and that just excited for people on the West Coast can be praying for you, get to know you and pray for you by name in your ministry. And so if folks on the West Coast or in the Northeast are hearing about what's going on, and somebody wants to get involved in your work, what's the best way to contact you?
Yes, you can contact me at greg.hills@mtw.org, and we would love to talk with you.
Awesome, man. Well, Greg, thanks for your time, brother, and to the awesome staff also on here. You guys are well, you're above average. I really appreciate you guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, if you're watching this, we want to thank you for taking the time to hear about what the Lord's doing on the West Coast, the Northeast, and around the globe. If you want to get more involved in missions, if you're involved in your church or your family or your small group, or you want your family or your church to get more involved in missions, then just fill out the get involved link that's going to be associated with this video, and somebody like Greg or Anthony or Allie or I will get a hold of you, and we'll plug you in and help you get more involved in the process. And if you want to learn more about what's going on in the West Coast Hub, then just continue to follow us on Facebook. Do a quick search for West Coast Office there, and you follow us on YouTube. You can see other videos like this. But more importantly, just keep on praying for the nations, and keep praying that the Lord is glorified, and that we are an active part of moving closer to that end of Revelation, where all nations are represented before the Lord. So thanks, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.
See you guys.